How's it going? My name is Matthew Vegas. I'm currently a student, physical therapist, so I'm working my way towards becoming a movement specialist. But I wanted to take this time to talk about my blog posts. So, visiting Atlanta, Georgia, which is somewhere that the last time I went there, before I just went, was around 1995 or so. But man, so much has changed since then, and watching the 1996 Olympics, there's actually a lot of good stuff to talk about Atlanta, even though I'm from the West Coast, and so that's like my bias and like where I come from and everything. It was great visiting the South, loved it. Um, I tried grits, which is not something I usually eat, but it was good. And just being in the presence of good company and as I mentioned in the blog, my friend who works at the CDC. So it was nice just being able to relax from the stress of PT school and just hang out and have fun and learn more than I bargained for about the history. I didn't even know that the birthplace of Martin Luther King Jr. was in Atlanta, and much less I didn't even know that it was a national park. So that alone was a very awesome experience. So there was that. There was my friend showing me around the campus of Emory University, where she went for her master's in public health, and CDC, got to see the outsides of it. It was closed on the weekend. I visited during the weekend, but just hanging out real quick. And this was one of those like random trips I took before going to CSM, which I talked about before. But Martin Luther King Jr. and just seeing all the history, just really, really rich history of the neighborhood, the community, the volunteers that were working now in the birthplace, and just being able to listen to stories. I think that's one thing I really miss, just being able to connect with people and think about something other than school. I'll definitely get to like posts about PT and stuff because I know people are definitely interested in what I'm learning about. I promise I will get to that. But first, just talking about how the civil rights movement and just the neighborhood of Auburn Street. So there's this one spot I learned about. It's called Sweet Auburn, which is many different shades of brown, and just how that used to be a German community, and historically just all the different things going on, and then how that changed, and just this mindset, especially like entrepreneurial mindset, but just being a community and helpful, and how people within this community on Sweet Auburn survived and thrived during the Great Depression of America, which for people who are international and aren't aware, it's around the early 1900s and one of the most significant like American history moments, one of the most trying times, and why there's so many different like banking policies and regulations in place today. So just wanted to touch upon that really quick. And of course, as always, if anyone has questions for me about like my personal journey and my story, feel free to ask. But learning about all these different civil rights leaders, of course, Congressman John Lewis, their stories, even at the Atlanta airport. I wanted to mention that really quick about how it's this really different atmosphere. I didn't take the train, so I did discuss that during my blog post, but basically landing at the terminal, flying Southwest, and then I landed around gate C. I like the way that the airport was organized and just how you could navigate underground and just walk between these different terminals, and how it was like a museum, like being in a free museum and just seeing American history, especially with Atlanta, and seeing different pieces of artwork and some other beautiful pieces of culture that I wouldn't have expected from like Africa. So there was a lot of nice like pictures, murals, sculptures. Just I took a few pictures. I'm not sure if I'm gonna upload all of them, but just having this different atmosphere was something I really needed after spending hours, days, weeks studying for cardio, ortho, and neuro, which is cardiopulmonary rehabilitation, neurological rehabilitation, and then orthopedic rehabilitation. So these different systems that you gotta learn about as a physical therapist, and just how to evaluate a patient and assess them. So I'll probably get into that later, but just to mention briefly here in preview for next week, I'm going to be discussing a very interesting topic about healthcare, especially within the Bay Area. But man, Atlanta, like, I know it's tough for me to like convince people, especially when no one's really watching right now, but Atlanta, it's a great place to visit. It's got a different culture. The people are really great, and I was surprised how like riding the metro was super cheap, and just how things felt so accessible. I think that is probably my biggest takeaway from this trip, from this vacation, just how giving the nature of people are, and like no matter where you travel, people are people. But man, like here in Atlanta, largely African American population and demographic, but just really open, really welcoming, caring, and like could ask questions and just not feel like a complete outsider, even though I'm coming all the way from the West Coast and just visiting my friend. So this is just like a very, very short, quick video post. I really wanted to share that, and just how Martin Luther King Jr., as you can see from like my motivational quote on Instagram, how like he's been so influential with like many people's lives, but definitely with mine, and really like pushing for something that he believed was right despite all the resistance he faced, and how I'm able to just go to school and just become educated, and like no matter who you are, just appreciate and tolerate our diversity and the different ideas that people have, and just hearing people's stories, being able to connect. And that's really the biggest thing I want to emphasize, like with these starting blog posts that I'm doing and these starting live streams, and just how I'm trying to make my social media presence, really trying to hammer it in right now, like trying to connect with people and just share that. So I know I probably didn't do enough justice, but like if you are going to travel to the East Coast, especially in the South, like you should definitely visit Atlanta, Georgia. It's a wonderful place, especially just visiting the national park with the birthplace of Martin Luther King. So anyways, if you did drop in and check in, Really appreciate it. I can't really see any comments right now, even though I have like my iPod going. But anyways, thanks for watching, and definitely tune in next time where I talk about my experience during college of going on a trip during spring break and learning more about healthcare policy within the Bay Area, and especially healthcare for the homeless. So I'll leave with that. And again, thanks for watching. All right, peace.